Hey guys, been a while since I've done a video on painting crankbaits, but it's raining outside right now and can't get out and fish, so I thought today might be a good day to do that. Now, earlier I showed painting a bluegill pattern, and that was a pretty good pattern. It's worked fairly well, but it's a little bit time consuming to paint it, and I thought I wanted to try something that could paint it a little bit faster but would still be effective and still work. I think I came up with that pattern. At least it's been working so far. So let's take out a little time right now and let me show you how I paint it. Alright, what we're going to be painting today is a 1.5 square bill. This is a lure that'll probably drop about 2 to 3 feet. As you can see, I got a few. There's a few more bags. To start out, save a little time. I always tape the bill with some masking tape, and I usually put a white base coat on. So I've done that ahead of time. So now we can start out with a regular painting. We're still looking to mimic that bluegill color. I'm using the Creatix here transparent paint. This is a bright yellow. So this is what we're going to put on the belly and get her started here. I like to bring it, there's a kind of a lateral line on the side. I'd like to bring it up almost right about to that lateral line. That's all there is. Now, if you haven't watched ours before, this paint will heat set. So you can set it in good. I'm using a Wagner heat gun, and that helps set the paint to dry better. Now for clean out, here's what I do between spots. Spray bottle, there's a little bit of leftover. Now I hit it a few squirts till I got it running clean. Wipe her out good. And we're ready for the next color. And the next color is going to be orange. Just straight, it says 5119 orange. A couple drops. Nice thing about the transparent, it's thin enough you don't have to thin it down. Alright, going to get a little bit of orange in here. Just real light on the belly, right up front. There we go. We want to leave a little of that yellow on the back. So we're just doing a little on there in the belly, and that's all it took. I'll heat dry this one, we'll move on to the next step. Alright, we got our belly done, we're ready to do the top. Now I start changing a little from the normal from some guys. Walmart, Apple Barrel brand, Walmart, 50 cents a bottle paint. This stuff is too thick. You'll definitely have to thin it out. I'm using some Wicked W100 to thin mine out. I don't know if you should use it at Walmart, but I do. This is a palm leaf color. Like I said, it's pretty thick. The Walmart type paints will work. They can give you little problems only because the pigments are a little bit bigger flakes in the pigments because it's a cheaper paint. So sometimes getting them through your paint gun can be a little bit of a problem. But so far, if I thin it down good enough, I'll thin that down a little bit, and I haven't had too much trouble with it. So, all right, let's go for the top now. There we go. Now let me heat set this and then we'll move on. We now have our basic colors. We've got our yellow and orange from the belly. We got a basic green on top. Now is where we're going to start trying to make it a little fancier and change it a little bit. We're going to use something, and I'm not sure what this is. It's called Tools. I think it's T-U-L-L-E-S. And it's basically a ribbon. You find it Hobby Lobby fabric department. And basically what I'm doing with this is a piece I've already used a few times. I have folded this in half so I get double the amount. But what I'm going to do is wrap this right over the top of this lure. Now, A lot of people use these small clamps like this, and they'll place 5 or 6 or 7 clamps along the bottom. I bought hair breadths, plain old hair breadths from Hobby Lobby. I can push one across the bottom from this way, and I pull her down real snug and tight, and put another hair breadth this direction. Get my fingers out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. And there it is. I've snugged it down tight with just 2 of them instead of having to put 6 or 7 of those others on. Alright, now let's load up the gun, show you what we're doing next. So we've got our lure, we've got it covered with the tools. Now we're going back to Createx, and now I'm going pearlized colors. This is pearl copper. So we're going to take it right now, we're just going to cover everything with pearl copper. Everything was green, I'm going to cover pearl copper. There we go. Now, let me heat set this. We'll move on. Alright, all of our green is now covered with the pearlized copper. Now we're coming back, still the pearlized Createx. This time we're doing pearl magenta. Now we're not going to get too carried away here. We're just going to kind of lightly hit it from a distance, just enough so you can see it once in a while. And that's about it. You might not even be able to see that on the camera, but I can see some in here, just to give a little bit of the pearlized magenta over the copper. We have one last step to do. We're going to come right down across the top, and we're going with Createx, just the opaque black. So we're going to run this right down along the top. And a little bit around the face here. And that'll do it. Alright, let me dry this. We'll take the wrap off. Let's see what we got here. Clips off. Take the wrap off. There we are. And I don't know how well that's going to show up for you guys in the camera. I'll get better pictures of it a little bit later. It was a very simple, easy lure to paint, but at the same time, counting the base coat, there are 7 different colors on this lure. And I'll tell you, the pearlized copper and the pearlized magenta on the sides really pops well, and that green really shows through well at the top. Hopefully you guys are catching here. If not, we're going to show you the finished product a little bit. We'll need to put a set of eyes in. Then we'll need to put our top coat on. When it's all said and done, we'll show you what it's like when we get it all finished. Thought I'd take a minute and show you how I set my eyes. Now the eyes usually come on a card. They usually got sticky on the back, but I like to do a little bit extra than just a sticky. So I just got some clear tacky glue, and all I do is I use a couple toothpicks, and I will just take the slightest amount of tacky glue, put it in the eye socket, get myself an eye with the tip of the toothpick, set it into place. There we go. Flip them over, little glue, get my toothpick under another eye, and there we go. Eyes are set. Now we'll let that dry for just a few minutes, and then we're going to put a top coat on this thing. Now there's all kinds of top coats that people put on it, but a lot of people use basically a 2-part slow cure epoxy glue. This is Bob Smith's Industries. I buy this at Hobby Lobby. I think normally it's like $10. You get a 40% discount with your coupon, and we're $6 and change. They make a 5-minute cure. You don't want that. You want the slow cure, 30-minute cure, 2-part epoxy. Now, there's lots of people spend a lot of time measuring this stuff out. I mean, I've read on forums, guys, down to, they'll weigh it, they'll get little digital scales, and they really want to get it down just so it's just by volume? Is it by, the argument is, do you do that by volume or by weight? Big arguments on that all the time as which way you should do it. I basically squirt a little out of each tube and I get a glob that looks about the same as the other glob and I say, there you go, that ought to do it. You know what? I haven't had it fall apart on me yet, so maybe it will over years, but so far I've been catching a lot of fish with these lures and nothing's come off yet. All right, mix it up for a few minutes. And all we're going to do, cheap brush. I don't know, there's 20 in a package for $1.50 or something like that. And that's what we're going to put it on with. Because this stuff is a 30-minute cure. So what's going to happen, it's I guess you'd call it self-leveling. And so that way you don't have to worry too much about where it sits, because we're going to hang it and everything's just going to run down there really well right down towards the end. And I'll show you how we handle that one too, so we don't have a problem with that. So I put it on fairly thick. Well, I want to make sure I get good coverage. You don't want to get too much with it because, as I said, it's going to run on you. It's going to run off the end and you're going to end up with this giant glob. You're going to end up with some anyway. You have to, because that's just the nature of the beast. But there's no use getting too carried away with stuff. Be a little careful with this stuff because remember, you are working with a two-part glue. So things are going to get real hard when they're done. But that's what gives you the depth in the final finish and the hardness to take the stuff they're going to get. Alright, and there we are. Got the final coat on. We'll get a better picture on this a little bit later yet. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hang this thing up. And it's going to come down to the tail, so what I do, take a little wire clip, run a clip through it, and now when everything runs down, it's going to run down onto this clip and not build up on the end of the lure. So hopefully we'll keep it on the clip. So we'll hang this up for a while, let her dry. Well, there we have the final results. I really like the way that green stands out on top like that, and the copper really makes those sides shine. Of course, the key is, will it catch fish? There we go. Hey, that feels a little better.
A little better?
A little bit better.
Yeah, there it is. That's a nice one.
There we go, guys. The lure paid off. All right, there we go. There's the one we painted the other night. Worked out pretty well. There's the fish.